Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the privilege to address you and the privilege to address the House here, and I thank the gentleman from New Jersey for recognizing me to say a few words here. I have, let's say, this week when we go down to the mall to March for Life, and we'll see the tens of thousands of faces, many of them young people, especially young ladies, that are there to stand up and defend life. And I hear the debate here on the floor of the House of Representatives. And I've listened to the gentleman who spoke in the Democrat side of this aisle who lamented this, that there would be 18 million people pushed off of their health care if we repeal, he called it the Affordable Care Act. If you want to use a technical term, it's the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, and it's not the right name for it. But it won't be 18 million. It won't be half of that. But to listen to the lament that some people might go without, not health care, that's another misnomer, but without health insurance for a little while, that's their concern? Well, we're here talking about more than 58 million little babies that are created in God's image, formed in the womb, as we heard Tim Walberg speak a little bit earlier, and they are the love of our lives. And I've never known anyone who had a baby in their arms and felt that little baby squirming, that little baby cooing, that special little baby smell, to witness the miracle of that little baby. I've never known a mother or a father that said, I wish this child had never been born. But that's what's happened to more than 58 million little miracles. And we're here, we're a moral standard. People say you can't legislate morality. Well, the morality is the reflection. The reflection of morality is in the federal code, and it's in the state laws all across this land. And the question that doesn't seem to be answered generally by people on this side of the aisle, the other side of the aisle, and I'm grateful for the pro-life Democrats that we have that have joined us year after year. But I would pose the question to those who oppose the pro-life movement, this: do you believe that human life is sacred in all of its forms? Is there anybody over there that would deny that human life is sacred in all of its forms? Not one of you. Not one of you will stand up and wave your arm and let me yield to you and tell me why that's not true. It's true. We know. Human life is sacred in all of its forms. Once we understand that, now you can stipulate that. You have by your silence, that human life is sacred in all of its forms. And so there's only one other question. Since we have to protect life, human life in all of its forms, then at what moment does life begin? At what moment, ladies and gentlemen? Well, we know that we can only identify a single moment. As much as we know about biology, and we know plenty, one single moment is the moment of conception. And from that moment, it's a unique life with the chromosomes matched up and the DNA that will never change for a lifetime. That unique individual. And did you ever think that God's creation of us, there are over 7 billion human beings on the planet, each one of us created in His image, each one of us unique. To think of 7 billion faces and no two of them are alike. No two of them are every face on the planet is distinct and unique. And it matches up with none of the faces that are in the grave today, and nobody's face matches up with any of the faces that will be born in future years or millennium. Each face of God's creation is unique. And what's the best way we can tell each other apart? Look at that visage of our faces. It's a uniqueness that God created within us that is part of how we interact with each other. It's part of how we should love each other and appreciate each other and draw those distinctions so that we can respect everyone as having their own unique life. And so you've stipulated that human life is sacred in all of its forms. And so the next question I have to ask you is, well, at what moment does life begin? What moment, what instant does life begin? And if you can pose another instant, another moment, other than conception, I would listen to that. But I'm not seeing anybody that wants to step down and say that there's a distinct moment that life begins other than conception. So I will make this case again. Human life is sacred in all of its forms. You stipulated that. Second is, and it begins at the moment of conception. Your silence has stipulated that. And so we have the whole argument wrapped up here, packaged in this today. We need to defend human life in all of its forms, It's God's gift to his creation. It's our obligation to defend it. And we can defend it. We can defend it through legislation as we did today. And we should honor and respect the life of Henry Hyde, who contributed a great deal to this Congress in his lifetime. And we're working on the work that the foundation that he's laid down for us. And Chris Smith has assumed much of the role that Henry Hyde played here in this Congress. We each had the privilege to serve with Henry Hyde. His legacy remains, and we have a unique privilege and opportunity to build on it. And I suggest we continue to do so in every piece of legislation that we can pass while we anticipate appointments to the Supreme Court that will honor life and recognize also, as our founding fathers did, when they drafted the Declaration of Independence, they said we have a right to life, to liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And don't try to package that up as three equal values. They are not. They are prioritized rights. The right to life supersedes the right to liberty, and the right to liberty supersedes the right to pursuit of happiness. And no one in their pursuit of their happiness can trample on someone's liberties, and no one can claim they have a liberty to take the life of a baby, because life is paramount. That's the package, that's the argument that's here. We need young people to grow up with that understanding and those values. And as we stand here tonight, Mr. Speaker, and as we work together in the coming days and months, and I pray it's not years, one day we'll see this nation that respects life from the moment of conception until natural death. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman from New Jersey